Hi Paper Crafters, I'm Joanne Rogers, a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Central Alberta, Canada, and I've been designing with you in mind since 1999. Thanks very much for joining me today. I have a video today what I think are the top 5 things that every beginner paper crafter needs. And these are items that when you purchase them, you will use over and over and over again. So let's get started. So the very first thing that you're going to need is a paper trimmer. And this is the paper trimmer from Stampin' Up! And you will use it over and over and over again, especially if you're going to be doing card making. But if you're scrapbooking or doing other types of paper crafting, it's going to come in really handy. So what's great about this paper trimmer is that it has a plastic guide that has the numbers on the back so that they don't wear off. So they're not printed on the front, and after you use them a few times, you can't see what the numbers are here anymore. So it's nice and big here, so it holds your paper securely. It also, I've taken a piece of, after a tip from one of my community folks, I have just taken a piece of double-sided tape and put it on the back so that I can see those numbers no matter what color paper I am using. So it is a cool little tool. This is our guide, and the channel here is narrow enough and deep enough, and it doesn't get too cluttered with paper. And the other thing is that these measurements here are perfect. So let me just grab a piece of paper. So this is our very vanilla paper and just a scrap piece that I have. And so the measurements across the top, they're in both metric as well as imperial measurements. And they don't only go out to 6 1/4 because there's an arm here that you can pull out, and you can go all the way to 17 inches if you wanted. 17 by basically just a little bit more than 12. And then you pull it in and it snaps into place there. There are measurements on both sides of the scoring channel, and so we have our measurements going out to 1 inch here, and I'm an imperial gal, so you can measure and cut on both sides. So on the right hand side you can cut up to 1.5 inches on that side. So let me just show you how it cuts. So you take your paper and it goes right flush against this lip up here. So we'll just say this is 2 inches here. I'm working on the left side here. And then there's a cutting blade and there's a scoring blade. So the cutting blade is quite nice and sharp. You don't have to press super hard. In fact, you don't want to press too hard because that may ridge your paper. And then you have your paper and it's got a nice crisp edge on it. And these blades, there are replacement blades, but you really don't need to replace them very often. Now, if I wanted to score that, I'm also going to put it at 2 inches. I move my cutting blade out of the way, and you can see that I've written on mine just as a reminder. Even though they're colored different, I just remind myself when I'm scoring that I don't want to be cutting through that paper. So you can go back and forth a few times and you get a nice crisp edge, or you can create a nice crisp edge that folds. And you do want to do this when you are just starting to paper craft. And I have a whole video that I'll put the link here for you on how to score your paper. And also it talks about why you want to score your paper. So then that is our first tool, and it's a great tool and you're going to get a bunch of use out of it. And our second tool is what we're going to use to score or to burnish that paper. And so once you've scored it and folded it, now I'm just going to try and get it nice and straight, then you take your bone folder, and mine is definitely seeing a little bit of use, and it comes and it starts out straight, but I have used it so much, and you use it on the side. And the edges here just make a nice crisp edge so that when you fold your card, when you create your box or do anything 3D, you're going to have a nice crisp edge. So bone folder is the second thing that I recommend. The next is a great pair of scissors. So these are the current scissors that Stampin' Up! Carries, and these are called paper snips, and they come with a little protector on the shank. And what's so great about these, you always want a pair of scissors that fits your hand really well. So you do want to just test them out, and practically every single demonstrator who is a Stampin' Up! Person will have a pair of these scissors. But try them out because they want to fit your hand, because when you're cutting something, you want to be able to not have your hand get fatigued. And what's great about these ones, they're super sharp. They stay sharp. These ones I've had for many, many years, and and they stay sharp. They have a short shank, so this part right here is fairly short, so you can really get into some really intricate little details in order to cut them out. So if you cut out designer paper or cut out your rubber stamps, that's going to be fantastic. So that is the third thing that you need. And the fourth thing is some adhesive. So I've got a variety of different adhesives here, and they range from a double-sided tape runner. And this is our current Stamp and Seal, which is a fairly nice, really has a lot of hold to it. It's double-sided tape that when you use it, I'll just use it on this piece here, what you do is you just place it down and you pull it sort of towards yourself. If it ever doesn't start like that, then I just get it moving a little bit and I pull it, and you can maybe see that it comes out that way. Now this, I will tell you, takes just a little bit of time to sort of get the hang of, and then it will just glue together. And it is, once you glue it, it's sort of stuck there in place. It's a really quite a strong adhesive, and it comes just with that little cover on it. So that's one option. Another option is a whole roll, and this will last you a long time, of tear and tape. And so this you can tear off, and it's a double-sided adhesive again. Let's just put it here, and you place it down and sort of burnish it with your fingers, and then you can get in there and pick it up. So you just pick it up with your nail or another tool, which I'll tell you about in my next video. And let's just push that one over using our bone folder, and it sticks. So this is great for if you're a 3D person and you like to make 3D projects. The next item is Tombow Mono Liquid Glue. This glue is your best friend. So if you only are going to get one adhesive, get this one. And what's so great about this is it's liquid. You can have it come out in just little dots, so you don't press very hard and you're going to get just a little tiny dot of glue, or press it out a little bit more and you'll get a little bit more glue. Now, how this works, it will be permanent. If I were to put another piece of paper on there right now, it would be permanent. If I didn't and let it dry, then it works actually as a Post-it note sort of glue, so it will be repositionable. We don't tend to use it like that very often, but it will work that way. It has two tips, that narrow tip, which I have to say I use 99% of the time, and then it has a bigger tip if you're going over larger areas. This is a great deal as well. It's something that's going to last a long time. The other thing that we do have is Stampin' Dimensionals, and there's 3 in a package, and they're little self-adhesive foam pieces that are sort of octagonal, not quite octagonal, but that shape, sort of a honeycomb kind of shape. And they come out like this, and you would then get a little bit of dimension on your pieces. And we want to make sure we use all the inside, but all the outside pieces too. So there's quite a few in one package. Now this is not a necessary. If it's adhesive you're looking for and you're just starting, this is the one you want to get. And then the last thing that I want to tell you about as the top 5 is this silicone craft sheet. So what's so great about it is that you can do a bunch of different things. When I take my tape and I take that tape runner, it will, for some reason, it just has enough cushion that it allows me to tape it a lot easier once it has this little cushion. It works better than if I were to do this just on top of the table by itself. Well, now it's going to prove me wrong because it worked there just fine. So it works that way. How it also works is you can glue right on top of here, and it's a great way to protect your work surface. So when you glue right on top of here, you just let it dry, and I think maybe you can see where it's shiny there, where I've let some dry, and then you just rub it with your finger. And when you rub it with your finger, it just comes right off, and it's just like new again. And when it's just like new, you can wipe it up if you want to, but you don't have to. You just take away those little bits of glue and you're ready to go again. So another way that you can use this is if you like doing paper treatments. So if you like doing a little bit of spritzing or watercoloring and you're using a small area, so you have a small piece of paper, this will protect your work surface a little bit as well. So we don't tend to use it quite as much for that, but it's certainly certainly can be used for that, especially if you like working small. So that's my list of items that I consider to be the top items that you would need if you are just starting to paper craft. So these are the 5, and then of course you need paper, but you have a whole host of different types of paper that you can get, and I'm going to talk about that in my next video, which is what do I need to start rubber stamping? So thanks very much for joining me today. I hope there were some tips there for you if you are a beginner crafter, and even if you're not a beginner paper crafter, maybe you learned something as well. If you live in Canada and you don't yet have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to be your gal. You can find me at www.designwithjo.ca. And if you're not yet on my mailing list, why not pop on over to that website and get yourself signed up? I post weekly tips and tricks, all kinds of designs and ideas, and all the latest news in the Stampin' Up! World. I'd love to have you join in there too. Thanks very much and have a great paper crafting day. Bye-bye.